The United States could charge Mae Thomas next, as Azruddin Mohamed and his father Nazar Mohamed risk a prison sentence for allegedly violating U.S. laws. Hey guys, thank you for tuning in for another one of our podcast editions. We're now on episode 30 and counting. Let's get right to it. Does the name Mae Thomas sound familiar to you? Who is she? What does she have to do with Azruddin Mohamed, his father Nazar Mohamed, their gold export business, the U.S. sanctions, and the recent indictment that could result in both men spending years in a United States prison? The other question people are asking is, where is Mae Thomas? Is she in hiding after being exposed by the United States for her role in alleged public corruption within the Guyana government? Is she still linked to Irfan Ali's government? We do know that she hasn't resurfaced as a People's Progressive Party civic candidate for the recently held general and regional elections. There are conflicting stories about her status within the PPP. There are claims that she was fired. Others allege she resigned or was asked to resign, which is the same thing as getting fired. Then there is information suggesting that Thomas was merely sent on administrative leave pending the outcome of the case against the Mohameds. Either way, it's not a good look. It's not a good look for Mae Thomas, and it's not a good look for the PPPC government, would you say? I'm eager to hear your thoughts on this matter. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. Moving on. Now, the question many are asking is whether she's still receiving a paycheck or hush money. Hush money. For those of you who don't know, the hush money reference arises from allegations that deviants within the political establishment were aware of and or were actively involved in assisting the Mohameds with their alleged gold smuggling scheme. But that when the ish hit the fan, everyone scrambled and tried to save their own asses by exposing the Mohameds to investigations by the United States and Reuters news agency. Please check out the videos we've uploaded on our channel playlist covering this blame game about the Reuters news agency being the whistleblower. Somebody or several people had to have tipped off Reuters in order to trigger that investigation. In other words, it is alleged that the Mohameds were turned into scapegoats. Basically, collateral damage, if you know what I mean. Damn, I said a mouthful. Okay, let's get back on track. Here's an even more chilling question and the core reason why we're bringing you this episode today. Will the United States bring charges against Mae Thomas as they did with the Mohameds? If so, when? And if not, then why? Why? Just when you thought we'd given her a pass, here we are. It is only fitting for us to examine the sanctioned case made against all three individuals at the center of the shocking gold smuggling and tax evasion scandal. Stick around to the end because today we're taking a closer look at the PPP government official who allegedly played a key role in helping the Mohameds cheat the revenue system, thereby effectively robbing the Guyana government of millions of US dollars in duty taxes, allegedly. We'll also explore whether the US will charge Thomas alongside her compadres, the Mohameds. Next, you'll hear what Barrett Jagdeo is quoted as saying when asked if his government was still paying Mae Thomas for her role as permanent secretary. Are you ready? Let's go. And don't leave without telling us what you think in the comment section. On June 11, 2024, the United States Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Assets and Control, OFAC, publicly announced that it had designated Azruddin Mohamed and his father Nazar Mohamed for allegedly scamming the Guyana revenue system out of $50 million in taxes, which were lawfully due on over 10,000 kilograms of gold exported out of the country. Furthermore, the U.S., after a thorough and multi-year-long investigation, tied Mae Thomas to the alleged illegal dealings by the Mohameds. She had been using her government office, power, and influence to help the men commit tax fraud, the U.S. alleges, referring to the woman as a, quote, corrupt and, quote, manipulative government official. The U.S. Department of Treasury's sanctioned statement further revealed that, quote, while permanent secretary to Guyana's Minister of Home Affairs, Thomas used her position to offer benefits to Mohameds' enterprise and Azruddin, among others, in exchange for cash payments and high-value gifts. Thomas misused her position to influence the award of official contract bids and the approval processes for weapon permits and passports on behalf of Mohamed's enterprise. Again, the United States is accusing her of doing this all for the benefit of lucrative bribes such as cash and expensive gifts. Even more mind-blowing, all of this was allegedly going down behind the scenes during Thomas's appointment as permanent secretary from September 2020 through August 2023, despite their very own permanent secretary within the Ministry of Home Affairs and the Ministry of Labor is now formally linked to the gold smuggling tax evasion scandal involving the Mohameds. How many times have you heard Thursday guy, Vice President Barajagdio, President Irfan Ali, Tuesday guy, Attorney General Anil Nandlal, or any other PPP official publicly criticize or put down Mae Thomas? Tell me in the comment section how many times. The point is, these government officials dedicated a lot of precious time painting the Mohammeds as the villains, particularly throughout the elections campaign season. While they pointed fingers at the Mohammeds, they forgot their very own Mae Thomas is implicated in the alleged criminal activities. Will she be held accountable by this government, or will they give her a free pass? Will the U.S. government hold Mae Thomas accountable for her role in public corruption alongside the Mohammeds? Allegedly. And just a quick recap, the United States indicted both Azruddin and his father, Nazar Mohamed, to face charges in a U.S. court for several alleged crimes. Based on U.S. court records dated October 2, 2025, the Mohammeds are now officially charged with multiple counts linked loosely to wire fraud conspiracies, money laundering, and tax evasion linked to alleged gold smuggling through a U.S. port of entry, namely Miami. And guys, that could explain why this case was initiated by a court within the United States Southern Florida District. In a more than 10 pages long indictment filed in a Florida court on October 2, 2025, and marked the United States versus Azruddin Mohamed and Nazar Mohamed, the U.S. is alleging that the men used their businesses, mainly Mohammed's enterprise, to conduct the fraudulent transactions. According to court records, the fraudulent concerted actions by Azruddin and his dad resulted in a loss of $50 million in taxes and royalties to the Guyana government. The men were allegedly successful at defrauding their government of the exorbitant sum of revenue, largely by misrepresenting the actual weight and value of gold exports. This led to a fraudulent declaration of value and ultimately allowed the Mohammeds to unlawfully and unjustly increase their personal wealth. You can watch the video we uploaded on this matter when we first heard about the indictment and the charges. Said indictment also alleges that the men engaged in money laundering for the purpose of carrying out or funding illegal activities. Said court records also made reference to Azruddin Mohamed's infamous Lamborghini, currently the subject of a tax fraud case brought against him by the Guyana Revenue Authority, GRA. According to the indictment, Mohamed underdeclared the value of the car by $604,700 when he allegedly falsely declared that the car's cost was only $75,300. By doing so, Mohamed avoided paying GRA import duty and taxes on $529,400. You can do the math and convert this into Guyana dollars, because math isn't my thing. I'm telling you, it's not my thing. According to the U.S. sanctioned documents and current court filings, the Mohammeds allegedly engaged in these activities between 2017 and 2024, all the way up to when both Azruddin and his father were sanctioned by the U.S. Turning attention back to Mae Thomas, we still don't know really and truly whether she is still a government official on record. And we ain't gonna ask any of the government officials because we know what's gonna happen. We're gonna get dodged. They are more than likely gonna dodge the question. What the press wants to know for investigative purpose is whether Mae Thomas continues to be paid by Irfaan Ali's government. Here's the latest we have on that question. Vice President Barrett Jagdeo, at one of his Thursday press conferences in June 2025, addressed the media's concern about Thomas's whereabouts and status within the government. As per a Demerara Wave article posted by Dennis Chabrol on June 12, 2025, quote, Mr. Jagdeo could not say whether the former permanent secretary was still being paid by the government, before going on to say that she should not be under focus. He accused Mr. Azruddin Mohamed for being responsible for her being sanctioned. Oh my gosh, like she's a grown-up. How is Mohamed responsible for her getting sanctioned? Sure enough, she can make her own independent decisions. She chose to get involved and engage in public corruption as alleged by the United States. How is Azruddin responsible for what she did? So tell us, why should Azruddin Mohamed take responsibility for a grown person's actions? Hello? But we're playing the blame game here, as we've seen time and time again when it comes to certain government officials in the current political establishment. Let's hear what Jagdeo had to say word for word when he spoke to the media. Quote, please don't make Mae the issue here. You have a big sanctioned man for 10,000 kilograms of gold that caused Mae to get sanctioned. And now it's poor Mae you're going after. Okay, poor Mae. Jagdeo continues saying, but it's about Mae Thomas and the big sanctioned man running around the place and being sanctimonious. I don't know what to make of that statement. You guys tell me what you think. Help me interpret this statement by Jagdeo. What does that mean? It sounds like word salad to me. Moving on. Is it possible that because the US merely sanctioned Mae Thomas for playing an administrative role in the alleged fraudulent dealings by the Mohameds, that they're not going after her as hard as they're going after the Mohameds? What do you think? Again, jump into the comment section. Let me know. Or is this just politics playing out right before our eyes? Watchdogs and critics believe that the U.S. is going after the Mohameds to secure its financial interest in Guyana's lucrative oil fields, which promises billions in US dollars for the US company ExxonMobil. In other words, it wants to keep its hands in the cookie jar, if you know what I mean. Therefore, that may explain why the Mohameds need to be removed from the chessboard. Checkmate for Azruddin Mohamed, who is currently the PPP's strongest political competitor. In fact, Azruddin Mohamed, leader of the We Invest in Nationhood party and now Guyana's political opposition leader-elect, has insinuated that the U.S. indictment and charges have everything to do with politics and the PPP. The young businessman turned politician won 16 seats in parliament, despite only 3 months of campaigning, and in the face of harsh weekly criticisms and fear-mongering tactics by the ruling party to sway voters away from Mohamed. In a press statement on October 6, 2025, the Win Party made the following statements on social media. Quote, the leadership of the PPP has been advancing a sustained narrative against the Mohameds aimed at discrediting us. Make no mistake, this is not just a personal attack. This is political. This is a fear tactic. They know what is at stake and they are reacting accordingly. The statement continues by saying, fearing the momentum seen at the last election and the cry of the Guyanese people for change, they are doing everything possible to stop me. Guys, this story is unraveling thread by thread. We plan to bring you fresh updates as they come to us. So remember to turn on YouTube notifications for this channel after you subscribe. For now, stay tuned for what's coming up next.